Good morning. It is January 20th, 2025, the day we have all been waiting for. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show. I am attorney Kyle Wyatt, filling in for Mr. Reed on this Martin Luther King holiday, but it's also Victory Monday. It is Celebration Monday. It is Freedom Monday. It is the Monday that many of you, probably only dreamed could happen. Oh, would it be nice if this would happen? The election was stolen. Will anything ever come good from this? And here we are, 4 years later, getting ready to swear in their 47th president of these United States, Donald J. Trump, for the second time. So we're going to take that. Be Inauguration Day. Take all your calls. I'd love to hear what you have to say, what you think, what you feel about this January 20th, 2025 day. How are you planning on celebrating, and what are you hoping to see these next 4 years? But before we get to all of that, let's get to some news and our nice warm weather.
And the first alert forecast from Cullerton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see partly sunny skies with a high near 22. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 3. Tuesday, sunny skies with a high near 21. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 38.
Well, at least there's hope down the line for warmer weather. I woke up this morning and I looked at the, we have a little Alexa. 2.
Yeah.
2. That's cold. You know, there's people outside. I was listening Fox News the way, and there's folks waiting outside for the Trump rally.
Ugh.
Or the Trump inauguration. It's going to be indoors. And so, obviously, there's a limited capacity. And so, there's folks coming from all over the country. There's a lady from Alabama has been sitting out there since 8:30 last night.
Whew.
And it's cold. I mean, it's a little bit warmer there than it is here. I think they're at 11.
Hopefully
Right
they got
now.
their hot hands.
Hot hands, I don't know. But that is, you would not expect that for a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris inauguration, would you? Would you see people lined up in the frigid temperatures to witness the swearing in of those two individuals? I highly doubt it. Well, how do I know that? Well, just in every round. You ever notice that during the campaign, I don't know if I ever really saw what the audience looked like at a Kamala Harris rally. They always showed like a zoomed in, right? You can see there's people behind her, some people in front of her, but they never showed. Well, did she fill up the arena? Was there a lot of people there? I know one of the ways they were doing that was they were promising like Beyonce or some other artists to come entertain. That was the only way they could try to bring people in was to promise some sort of entertainment. But Trump needs, though, such entertainment. Although last night at his pre-inauguration rally, he had some entertainment. Haven't seen the complete list, but I know Kid Rock was there. We had John Voight was there. We had Elon Musk. We had the Trump grandkids were there. Megyn Kelly. I really kind of surprised. I saw Megyn Kelly was speaking some words there at the rally. Of course, you had President Trump, but what I guess the cherry on top of that little ice cream sundae was the actual village people came to celebrate with Donald J. Trump. He was dancing in between a construction worker and a Indian. It was a visual. It was a visual, and it's and it's just absolutely contrary. I don't know if you tune in. We have a Saturday morning show each week at 9 a.m. And I had brought up how one of the Trump nominees, specifically the Trump nominee for Treasury, is a gay man, and for the longest time, we heard how Trump is a bigot. He's a racist. He's just homophobic. He's all these horrible things. But that's the narrative. That's the big lie that they like to perpetrate on everybody. I have relatives who truly believe that Trump is the devil. And I'm like, why would you? What is it? What has he done that would lead you to such a conclusion that he's a devil? And it's just this hour after hour slamming of the president on the news, on social media, on whatever else. But when you ever ask people, if you ever had to just actually sit down with them and say, well, give me some examples. I mean, if you hold this belief, do you hold this belief because somebody told you this, or these are things you've actually witnessed? Are these firsthand experiences you've had that you drew this conclusion that he's just this horrible human being? Now, I will grant you that during the first presidency, President Trump would tweet and tweet often. Maybe more than he should have. All right. But again, he's not a politician. He's a private citizen who happens to be the president of the United States. And so he doesn't have the mindset, I guess, to keep out of fights that are not necessary. Because that's what the left always wants to do. They just want to goad you into some sort of fight, some sort of argument. And most of the time, it's a good idea to stay out of that fray. But then a lot of times it was great when President Trump actually stood up to the left, to the media, to the Democrats. For the longest time, I've always wanted a Republican candidate who actually had the testicular fortitude to stand up and fight back. Why do we always have to be, let's take the high road? And so it was good. I remember watching President Bush, George W., and he was constantly always getting slammed one way or the other from the left. And I was like, why don't you ever fight back? Why don't you ever just show them, here's the proof, you idiots? But he never would. And so it was refreshing to actually have a president on the Republican side who was willing to push back. And he did. But it's not just the pushing back. It's not just the standing up to the left, to the media. It's the actual accomplishments. It's the actual goal orientation that Trump has versus what the left focuses on. The left focuses on what? Ideas. Well, we want to make the world cleaner. We want to make it safer. We think it should be free of toxic chemicals and all these horrible things. And so they have this goal. They have this idea, this belief that but for them, the world will just collapse. That climate change is just going to destroy us, and only we have the ability to fix it. And so they set these policies, these rules, these procedures that makes it difficult for the United States to become energy independent. We have to rely on foreign countries. And it just never works out. We got to take a break here. We'll come back right after this message. You're listening to The Nick Reed Show. All right, welcome back. You're listening to The Nick Reed Show. I'm attorney Kyle Wyatt of Wyatt Law & Associates, filling in for Mr. Reed. We indicated there was a rally last night. President Trump, along with a host of guests. If you go online and just check out the crowd size, waiting to get inside, hoping to get inside. Many, if not most, were unable to. I mean, there's just only so much room. But just packed. I mean, what was it? It looks like it's 6, 7 people aside, and just keeps going down the road. Keeps going down, wrapping around buildings, blocks. It's amazing. And those fortunate to get inside, to hear the president. We have a little snippet of President Trump last night at that rally, talking to his supporters.
For the past 9 years, you and I fought side by side against the most sinister and corrupt forces on earth. And in our magnificent victory on November 5th, you showed them once and for all that this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you.
And they were excited. Tens of thousands of people attended President-elect Donald Trump's fire rally on Sunday at Capital One Arena. Trump promised to take back the United States at noon on Inauguration Day as Americans begin their journey to the first day of a brand new country. So on the eve of taking back our country, that's what we're going to do, Trump said. Take back our country tomorrow at noon. The curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline, and we begin a brand new day of American strength, prosperity, dignity, and pride. Bring it all back once and for all. Trump told the 20,000-person crowd that he had fought for the American people for the last 9 years, including those in the most Democrat-run states such as California and New York. For the past 9 years, you and I have fought side by side against the most sinister and corrupt forces on earth, Trump continued. And in our magnificent victory on November 5th, you showed them once and for all that this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia right here in Washington, D.C., our country was won and built by generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. He promised to sign at least 200 executive orders on Monday, saying he would sign as many as possible on day one of his presidency. I hope he has enough ink in his pen. He's going to be busy. Trump brought high-profile guests at his rally, including Elon Musk, the Village People, Megyn Kelly, Dana White. Forgot about Dana White. Trump boasted about saving TikTok. How many of you did you try TikTok yesterday and see that it was turned off? It where's that? I was driving to church, whatever, and I saw somebody, so I just looked and said, "But sure enough, it was off." But then I guess later that afternoon, they turned it back on. So I don't know how many of you use TikTok under 40, but it seems to be popular. But he boasted about protecting it, saving it, which had gone black just hours earlier after the U.S. government banned it. He said he liked the app and suggested its value would be negligible without U.S. approval, but could reach massive amounts, even up to $1 trillion with it. The president-elect said the U.S. has no choice but to save it because it creates jobs. He also talked about the Israeli hostages that were released earlier in the day from Hamas terrorists. He said that the hostages would still be in Hamas custody if he hadn't won the election. I'm glad to report that the first hostages have just been released, and who knows what's going to happen. I know that Biden may think that they made the deal, Trump said. First of all, it would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened, talking about the actual attack there in Israel. He also vowed to declassify documents related to JFK, Bobby Kennedy, and the MLK assassinations. He's going to be popular, isn't he? We just got to keep him safe. So how many more hours we got left here? We got under 5. We got to make it. Look, today is going to be a firebrand day. I kind of envy Nick. Tomorrow you guys are going to have so much to talk about because there's just going to be executive order after executive order. I mean, you talk about up to maybe 200 orders to be signed. You could be rest assured they're already drafted. That's what they've been doing since November 5th, is getting things ready. for this day one. They want to try to get as much accomplished as possible. And it is no small thing that the Republicans won in November 5, the House and the Senate. Make no mistake. That was huge, just as huge as having President Trump in there. We'll be right back. So some of the things to expect later today. President Biden, Harris, former Presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, Republican Democrat members of Congress, foreign dignitaries, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, other tech and business executives, and some high-profile celebrities will crowd into the U.S. Capitol's rotunda today for Trump's inauguration, which will be held indoors for the first time in 4 decades. Due to an Arctic blast that's sweeping much of the nation. I think, President Reagan was the last president that had to take his inauguration indoors. After Trump's inaugural address, there will be a rapid-fire series of events, including a formal farewell for Biden and Harris as they leave the Capitol. Minutes later, members of Congress will watch as Trump and J.D. Vance, the nation's new vice president, take part in a signing ceremony, followed by an inaugural lunch, and then a review of the troops. Trump then returns to Washington, D.C.'s downtown area for an abbreviated parade, which was moved indoors because of the frigid weather, in front of thousands of supporters. After that, the new president heads to the White House for an Oval Office event before making his way to the traditional inaugural balls held this evening. Trump will also get to work immediately, flexing his presidential powers by signing more than 200 executive orders on his first day in office. I will act with historic speed and strength and fix every single crisis facing our country, Trump vowed at his inauguration eve rally. You're going to see executive orders that are going to make you extremely happy. Lots of them, lots. We have to set our country on the proper course. Trump's first wave of policy priorities will focus on issues he highlighted during his presidential campaign, including border security, energy, curbing inflation, and ending DEI programs across the federal government. A senior administration official familiar with executive actions and authorized to brief Fox News told that Trump on day one will end the catch and release of illegal immigrants, pause all offshore wind leases, terminate the electric vehicle mandate, abolish the so-called Green New Deal, withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, and take several major steps to assert presidential control over the federal bureaucracy. By the time the sun sets, God, I love this. This is what you have been waiting for. By the time the sun sets tomorrow evening, the invasion of our borders will come to a halt, and all illegal border trespassers will, in some form or another, be on their way back home, Trump pledged. And we're going to end the Biden war on American energy and unleash our energy resources to quickly defeat inflation and achieve the lowest cost of energy, electricity on Earth. Monday's inauguration stands in stark contrast with President Biden's inauguration 4 years ago, which was held 2 weeks after. Oh, God. You know, they always have to throw in that kind of stuff. Remember the invasion. You know, what's going to be really interesting is you can be pretty confident that the actual truth of what happened. We've already heard, what was it, reports of there were 17 some odd FBI undercover folks there at the Capitol instigating the break-in of the Capitol, or even the violence. As Trump retakes control of presidency, the latest Fox News national poll indicates he receives the highest favorable rating, 50% compared to just 42% when he entered the White House the first time in 2017. Biden's failure to turn page on Trump weighs on his presidency. Trump's journey since the election loss in 2020 is nothing short of remarkable. His refusal to accept election results, support for the January 6th insurrection. These, you would think, guys, this is what I'm telling you, with Fox News is not much better than the others.
They're breaking news. Biden, I mean, this is no surprise, but he just pardoned Mark Milley, Anthony Fauci, and the J6 committee members.
There you go. I wondered, we talked about this Saturday.
I know, I was waiting.
I figured it's going to be today. If he was going to do anything, it'd be today. So that includes Liz Cheney, guys. And what she did was criminal. Her witness tampering, the whole conduct. That is pretty amazing. I don't think it's done. I don't think he's done. I would not be surprised if he pardons his brother, other family members of his. They're leaving the White House and they're trying to get as much done as possible. You had found there was something he just did. 11th hour move to sabotage Department of Homeland Security. When we come back from the break, we got an article from the Daily Wire talking about some of these other crackpot things that the Biden administration is doing here on their way out, kicking and screaming. All right, we got to take a break here. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show.
Field's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see partly sunny skies with a high near 22. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 3. For your Tuesday, sunny with a high near 21. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies with a high near 38.
You know, if you didn't do anything wrong, why would you need a pardon? Why would you need the help of the President of the United States? It's a mystery. You know, wasn't the left, the Democrats? You know who you are. Weren't you guys banging that big-ass drum saying, nobody's above the law, nobody's above the law? But here we are. President Joe Biden has pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack with no weapons on the Capitol, using the extraordinary powers of his office in his final hours to guard against potential revenge by the incoming Trump administration. From the AP, if you haven't figured that out yet. The decision by Biden comes after Donald Trump warned of an enemies list filled with those who have crossed him politically or sought to hold him accountable. It is something that the left wants to accuse the right of doing exactly what they have been doing for the past 4 years. The issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense, Biden said in a statement. That's exactly what it means. That is exactly what it looks like. That is exactly what you're doing. Our nation owes these public servants a debt of gratitude for their tireless commitment to our country. Yeah, I bet. It is customary for a president to grant clemency at the end of his term, but those acts of mercy are usually, always, offered to everyday Americans who have been convicted of crimes. But Biden has used the power in the broadest and most untested way possible to pardon those who have not even been investigated yet. So one would have to contemplate that this pardon does not stop them from investigating. This pardon does not stop the FBI or the DOJ for doing a thorough investigation to see if a crime has been committed. And then I would challenge the ability to pardon crimes that haven't been charged yet. Because here's my thought. How can a president who has been very vocal about nobody's above the law, right? Nobody's above the law. Well, you're assuming these people are just innocent and they're just going to be innocently tried, wrongfully accused. So I would say, well, maybe, President, you weren't given all this information, and had you known that they truly were lawbreakers, and since you hold such a strong belief that nobody's above the law, except for your son, that you wouldn't have done this, you wouldn't have given this pardon. I don't know if it's done yet, guys. As you think this through, a pardon does not stop an investigation. The FBI and the DOJ can absolutely investigate. Biden goes on, these are exceptional circumstances, and I cannot, in good conscience, do nothing, Biden said. And that even when individuals have done nothing wrong, in effect, have done the right thing, and will ultimately be exonerated, the mere fact of being investigated or prosecuted can irreparably damage reputations and finances. Fauci was the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institute of Health for nearly 40 years and was Biden's chief medical advisor until his retirement in 2022, when the Republicans took control of the House. Weird. He helped coordinate the nation's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and raise the ire of Trump when he refused to back Trump's unfounded claims. Hogwash. What about the unfounded claims that the COVID vaccine is safe and effective? He has become a target of intense hatred and vitriol from people on the right who blame him for mask mandates and other policies they believe infringe on their rights. So like the 6-foot social distancing, he said, I just made that up. Pull it on my butt. Even as tens of thousands of Americans were dying. Mark Milley is a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and called Trump a fascist and detailed Trump's conduct around the deadly January 6, 2021 insurrection. Biden is also extending pardons to members of the staff of the January 6 committee, including former Reps Liz Cheney and Adam Kissinger, both Republicans, as well as U.S. Capitol and D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before the committee. How about that? Biden institutionalist has promised a smooth transition to the next administration, inviting Trump to the White House. I bet that's going to be a nice, warm meeting. We're going to tune in and watch that. And saying that the nation will be okay, even as he warned during the farewell address of growing oligarchy. He has spent years warning that Trump's decision to the presidency again would be a threat to democracy. His decision to break with political norms with the preemptive pardons was brought on by those concerns. Biden has set the presidential record for most individual pardons and commutations issued. He announced on Friday he would be commuting the sentences of almost 2,500 people convicted of nonviolent drug offenses. He previously announced he was commuting the sentences of 37 to 40 people on federal death row. Well, isn't he just a great guy? Nobody's above the law. You left, you Democrats, just take a good long sniff of this. Breathe it in. This is the BS that we have been telling and warning and shouting that the Democrats are, you guys are as corrupt as the day is long. There's no reason to pardon people that did absolutely nothing wrong. No illegal conduct. Why would you pardon them unless you knew exactly what they were doing? Again, like I said, he has a couple more hours left in office, so do not be surprised as he pardons a few more people. We talked about just before the break that there's more stuff, more shenanigans. Biden administration makes 11th hour moves to sabotage Trump Department of Homeland Security. The Biden administration made multiple last-minute moves that could make the Department of Homeland Security more expensive to operate and cause funds allocated to the department to secure the border to be less effective. On January 17th, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas wrote to all employees that he was giving them 3 days of additional vacation time to be used in 2025 in memory of him. It has been my honor. God, what a piece. It has been my honor of life to support you and to work alongside you. In recognition of your extraordinary talent, dedication, and sacrifice, I am proud this one last time to grant all personnel 24 hours of administrative leave to be used this calendar year, he wrote in a memo on the Daily Wire. We'll finish that after this break. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show. So the change that could have the most significant impacts on the Department of Homeland Security's agency's budget had to do with allowing employees to attain significant pay raises through tenure rather than merit. How about that? The agency has historically had one immigration service officer job called ISO 1 that handled simpler cases and was lower paid, starting at the GS5 pay rank and allowing employees to climb to a GS9. A second group of employees, ISO 2s, had to pass a test to get the job, handle complex cases, and were paid between GS9 and GS12. In recent weeks, USCIS said it would combine them into one job, meaning all of its lower-paid agents could climb all the way to GS12 pay simply by staying in their jobs. That gives the agency less of an ability to control its budget and also means that the agents handling complex immigration cases could be less qualified. The move could be attempted to sandbag or budget bust Trump's DHS, or it could simply be a giveaway to public sector unions, a primary Democrat constituency. It means everyone would eventually be GS12. As long as you do your job at the basic level, you will get promoted without any competition or proof of your ability to do or know your job. Someone straight from college with a degree in lesbian dance theory will get a GS12 spot as long as they do the minimum. A message dated January 6 and obtained by the Daily Wire said that we have decided to combine these two positions to a single career ladder, eliminating the overlap of GS9. This new structure will feature one ISO position and career progression spanning the 5, 7, 9, 11, 12 grade levels. Isn't that great? And you would think that, well, that's fine. We got Doge coming, and it'll fix it, and maybe it will. Hopefully it will. How many of you heard, though, that Vivek Ramaswamy will not be a part of that Doge any longer? This was, what would it be, yesterday. Many saw this breakup coming, though I'm not sure they expected it to happen so soon. It's from Town Hall. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy were supposed to be co-leads to head the Department of Government Efficiency. Doge, given their profiles, both men were likely never to work together for long. Yet it sounds like Vivek won't be part of the Doge revolution, reportedly rubbing the rank and file the wrong way and unwilling to do the heavy lifting behind the scenes. Hence, why Donald Trump and others have been trying to create new opportunities for him, like pressing Ohio Governor Mike DeWine to name him to fill J.D. Vance's empty seat. Vivek Ramaswamy, President-elect Donald Trump's choice to lead the Department of Government Efficiency with entrepreneur Elon Musk, is expected to soon step away from the task force, CBS News has learned. Ramaswamy intends to announce a campaign for Ohio governor as soon as the end of January. Multiple sources confirmed. Ramaswamy, 39, had no comment. People close to Musk have privately undercut Ramaswamy for weeks. Frustrated with his lack of a participation in the heavy lifting, according to sources familiar with the internal dynamics, there has been friction between the incoming rank-and-file Doge staff and Ramaswamy. The source said, and Ramaswamy has been suddenly encouraged to exit. Vivek has worn out his welcome, one person close to Trump said. Ramaswamy recently met with the Ohio sitting governor Mike DeWine about the state's Senate seat left vacant by Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, but on Friday, DeWine announced he is appointing his lieutenant governor to the post. Despite its name, the Department of Government Efficiency is not expected to be a full-fledged federal agency. Trump has said it will provide advice and guidance from outside of government and partner with White House Office of Management and Budget, OMB. So, it's fine. Elon Musk, we have already seen what he's able to do with large corporations like Twitter. He has cut the size of his company and has made it more streamlined and more profitable. And that's exactly what we're needing here in the United States. You know, the democracy is just so over bloated. It's so large. It is one of those. It's one of those creatures that we have that seems to be making all the rules, making all the laws that affect us. Now, luckily, the Supreme Court last year had taken away many of those powers, but it's just an ongoing problem that we have, and it's a problem that we have that's not solved unless we really make some changes in D.C., such as, I don't know, having term limits in the House and the Senate. It is absolutely ridiculous that we have senators and state and House representatives members who have been in office for 30, 40 years. It's absolutely insane. And the same should be the same true for the bureaucracy. That was one of the arguments here in Missouri, in Jefferson City. You have those who are in the bureaucracy, and they look at those term limits and say, well, that's fine. We're going to be here long after you're gone, so we'll just listen to you and play along for a little bit, but eventually you're going to go away, and then we'll go back to business as usual. It should not be a lifelong career, at least not when you're making decisions. I'm sure there's positions where you could do that, maybe that it is, but if you're actually making policy, if you're actually making regulations or at least making recommendations for regulations, there needs to be some sort of accountability, because we make it such, especially in the federal government, that it's almost impossible to fire you. And that's what I like about DOJ. The idea of DOJ is to try to figure out ways to make smaller, right, shorten, minimize the federal bureaucracy. And we've talked about ways on that on our Saturday show of moving different departments of the agencies from D.C. and moving out to Colorado, Texas, South Dakota, wherever. Because, many of those people aren't going to follow along. And so it doesn't matter necessarily that you have these folks who are getting these raises and they're going to get these promotions just because they've been there and not because of anything that they've done. Because if you get enough bright people, you get enough business-minded individuals. Elon Musk is not the only person who's going to be contributing to this. But you get enough of these business owners who know how to sign the front side of a business check, the payroll check, versus the back side. They can come up with ideas and plans to streamline this government. This is going to be a totally different 4 years than the first 4 years. You're going to see things that we have not seen before. This will truly be the golden age of America, and I just can't wait to see what happens later today. All right, guys, we got to take a next break of the hour. You are listening to The Nick Reese Show. President-elect Donald Trump vowed to revoke the security clearances of the 51 national security officials who infamously claimed that the Hunter Biden laptop had all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, many of whom were cable news commentators on day one of the second term in the White House. The New York Post reported that they obtained emails showing Hunter Biden had introduced his father, Joe, to a top executive at Ukrainian energy company Burisma less than a year before he pressured Ukrainian officials to fire a prosecutor investigating the company in a bombshell October 2020 article. Shortly thereafter, 51 former national security officials issued a public letter saying that the laptop was like a Russian information operation, despite the fact that it did not have any evidence of Russian involvement, despite the fact that the claims suggested in this letter were never corroborated. Many of his signatories went on to become frequent contributors to cable news network, oftentimes using their positions of authority to further bash Trump. Chief Secretary of the letter, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, went on to become a national security analyst on CNN. In his 2019 book, Facts and Fears, Clapper said that Russia affected the outcome of the 2016 election, writing that to conclude otherwise stretches logic, common sense, and credulity to the breaking point. Former CI Director John Brennan also signed the letter. Brennan appears regularly on MSNBC as a senior national security analyst and has used his platform to attack Trump on more than one occasion. In a February 2024 appearance on the network, Brennan claimed that Russia is using the Republican politician as tools. It is so appalling that there is a growing sympathy in the Republican Party among the MAGA base for Mr. Putin and Russia. I'm sure Ronald Reagan is rolling over in his grave right now. Brennan went on to claim that Trump is sympathetic and intimidated by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Over the summer, Fox News Digital asked all 51 officials whether they regretted signing on to the now debunked letter. No. Obama-era DNI James Clapper responded, of course not. Despite claims from former officials that the laptop had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation, Fox News reported that federal investigators with the Department of Justice knew on December 2019 that Hunter Biden's laptop was not manipulated in any way and contained reliable evidence, but they were obstructed from seeing all available information, according to an IRS whistleblower involved in a probe nearly a year before the former intelligence officials and President Biden declared it was part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Many of you remember that debate. There was only 2 debates held between Biden and President Trump. And the moderator and Biden kept pushing that this has not been verified, that these are all lies. And Biden looked into the camera and told the American people that it was Russian disinformation, knowing all along that everything that was contained in that laptop, because those stories were being reported by the New York Post, was true because he was a part of it. He knew he was receiving money from Hunter Biden. You know, I don't know why this doesn't get focused on a little bit more. But how is it that these public servants become multimillionaires while in office? I haven't figured out that little Rubik's Cube yet. How is it that if you make a flat salary, I don't know what they're up to now. It's over $200,000, right? If you're a representative or a senator, around that. How is it that you become multimillionaires? I mean, having homes all over the country, having homes in Malibu, having homes in Hawaii, having homes in the Caribbean. How is it? And why does nobody care? You ask any of those on the left, the Democrats, how does Joe Biden own so many $1 million homes? What? I mean, he's been in Congress since what was he? Was 27, 28, something like that when he first ran. And he hasn't married anybody who has money. they honor Joe Biden as being a teacher. So where did the money come from? Why does nobody care? You know, if you're against corruption, you would think that it'd be important that our politicians, those who are making the decisions for our country, are on the up and up, right? That they're not doing things behind the scenes. They're not selling their office. But yet, it seems like nobody cares. And the salary is $174,000. I'm sorry, I was way above. $174,000 and become a millionaire. Isn't that great? We'll be right back. Welcome and good morning. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show. I'm attorney Kyle Wyatt of Wyatt Law Associates in Freedom Traffic Law, filling in for Mr. Reed on this MLK Day. And it's Inauguration Day for America, where we will swear in the 47th President of these United States. It's going to be a great day. We'll talk about what we have in store this first day when President Trump gets sworn in, and much more after these news.
And the first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see partly sunny skies with a high near 22. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 3. For your Tuesday, sunny with a high near 21. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 38.
We have a lot of things in store. Not us. Sarah and I. President Trump does. I thought I would go over a few of those things that President Trump were expected to see after 12 o'clock today. Trump plans to sign more than 50 executive orders Monday, possibly more than 100 on his first day of his second presidency. On the first day of his previous term, Trump signed only one executive order, which targeted the Affordable Care Act. The first wave of Trump's executive orders, some of which may be rolled out later in the week, are expected to include a mix of campaign trail promises, reversals of outgoing President Joe Biden's policies, and a restructuring of the federal workforce. Questions remain, though, about how many goals from Trump's list he'll be able to accomplish on his first day. Additionally, some of the policies will require congressional approval, but here are some of the policy areas where the president-elect has made promises for his first day in office. Immigration. Immigration is an area Trump focused on heavily during the rallies. Will likely be a large focus on day one. He has promised his supporters that he will launch a massive deportation effort and close the southern border. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history to get the criminals out. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered, and will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail, then kick them the hell out of our country as fast as possible. Trump has shrugged off concerns about the costs of large-scale deportation plans. I was watching yesterday on Meet the Press, and they had Speaker Johnson on, and it's just it's almost laughable. Don't you worry about the cost. The estimates say there's going to be $40 billion to deport 1 million people out of our country. You're worried about the cost of their budgets and our overinflation and all this blah, 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 blah. You will be hard-pressed to find any of the media concerned about our budgets, about spending, about anything for the Biden administration or proposals by the Democrats. They don't worry about out-of-control spending when the Democrats are in control. But by God, when Republicans are, then we got to focus on it. It's just out of control. What they fail to say is how much does it cost to have all these illegals in our country right now? How many millions of dollars each day are being spent just having them here? Trump has shrugged off the concerns about the cost of large-scale deportation plans. His incoming border czar, Tom Homan, said Chicago will be ground zero for the plans on day one. In 2023, Trump said on his first day back in the White House he will end every open borders policy of the Biden administration. I'll also use the Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis, by returning all trafficked children to their families and their home countries. We'll do that immediately. The incoming president also said he will end birthright citizenship, which is automatic citizenship for everyone born in the United States. He reiterated that during an interview with NBC's Kristen Welker during Meet the Press in December. You promised to end birthright citizenship on day one, Welker said. Correct, Trump said. Is that your plan? Welker asked. Yeah, absolutely. Regarding the economy, more on Trump's day one promises related to other cornerstone issues of his campaign. On January 20th, as one of many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders, the president-elect wrote in a post on his social media platform Truth Social in November. Trump has vowed to impose a 25% tariff on everything imported from Mexico and Canada and added a 10% tariff on duties already imposed on goods from China. Concerning energy, the president-elect has made a number of references to reversing climate policies and increasing oil and gas production. He vowed to cancel what he calls the Biden administration electric vehicle mandate and increase. Well, it's not what he calls Biden administration. What Biden called was an electric vehicle mandate. I will end the electric vehicle mandate on day one, thereby saving the U.S. auto industry from complete obliteration, which is happening right now, and saving U.S. customers thousands and thousands of dollars per car, Trump said during his speech. Many of more of his day one plans relate to approving more drilling and pipelines. Drill, baby, drill was a constant refrain from Trump on the campaign trail. And again, when the left is all worried and clutching their pearls about drilling and all the harms to the climate, they care not what happens in China. We were listening, we had last Saturday on our show, we're playing some audios of the confirmation hearings of the different secretaries that Trump has appointed. And I want to say it's Scott Bennett who talked about that this year, was it going to be 50? We'll have to find out. There were so many, how many coal plants China was going to be building, how many nuclear plants China was going to be building this year. And you're so worried about fossil fuels and emissions, but the most populous nation in the world, China, is dumping far more pollutants than the United States could ever hope and dream to do. And you think your little bit of making us more independent on China and Russia and other enemies is going to make this world better, cleaner somehow. It's just absolutely asinine. They don't have a solution to that. They don't have any solution to the dumping of their oceans from India. They just want to focus on us and how they can destroy us or hurt us. Other executive orders could roll back environmental protections and halt wind projects. He has a one-year goal of reducing energy prices by 50%. During the December interview with Welker, Trump again vowed to pardon his supporters who attacked the U.S. Capitol 4 years ago. More than 1,500 people have been charged in the attack. Those people have suffered long and hard, and there may be some exceptions to it, but I have to look, if somebody was radical, crazy. The incoming president has the power to pardon anyone who was convicted in a federal court, and apparently you can pardon anyone who has not been convicted or even charged. But, well, that's for another time. We'll be right back. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show. Some of the other things President Trump plans on doing on day one, he has said he will take executive action to end the Biden administration's pause on issuing new permits for projects aimed at exporting liquefied natural gas. Like the emission guidelines, it's among several rules issued by the Biden administration to combat climate change, which Trump has called a hoax. The Louisiana federal judge in July ruled the Biden administration cannot halt issuing permits for such projects. The Justice Department appealed that decision. I imagine they will remove that appeal. Transgender lunacy. Trump has promised first-day action taking aim at rights for transgender people, including making it the official policy of the United States government to recognize only two genders, males and females. With a stroke of my pen on day one, we're going to stop the transgender lunacy, Trump said in a speech last month in Phoenix. Trump said he will sign executive orders to end child sexual mutilation, getting transgender people out of the military and public schools, and to keep athletes born male biologically from participating in women's sports. The Republican-controlled House voted Tuesday to pass a bill that would ban transgender women and girls from participating in women's and girls' sports, but it's unclear if the legislation can garner 60 Senate votes and eventually make it to Trump's desk for signature into law. DEI and federal government. Trump has signaled he will take action to overturn Biden-era policies aimed at diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'll end all of the Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion policies across the entire federal government immediately, Trump said. DEI in business and government has become a top target of Republicans. In his first year in the White House, Biden signed an executive order that established procedures to ensure diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility are priorities in building the federal workforce. In-person work for federal employees. Trump and his top advisors have signaled possible executive orders, actions directing federal employees to return to work in person. He's going to bring workers back to their offices. He's going to end the travesty in which federal workers are pretending to work but are not actually working. They're at home watching Netflix while you're paying their salaries. Trump has said he will fire any federal employee who doesn't physically return to their offices once this new administration begins. He has also pledged to challenge in court a Biden agreement allowing the Social Security Administration employees to work remotely. Work-from-home policies enacted during the COVID-19 pandemic remain in place for some federal workers. End funding to radical left NGOs. Trump will take action to stop federal funding for radical left NGOs, though he did not specify which entities would be targeted. NGOs, or non-governmental operations, refer to nonprofit organizations that receive federal funding. Biden used the authority to overturn a Trump executive order for so-called global gag rule that prevented federal aid from going to organizations that provide abortion services or information. Other things that the president plans on doing as far as the border is concerned, again, is ending Title 42, which is the amnesty provision. On the immigration front, Trump has talked about a series of orders he would issue on day one to seal the U.S.-Mexico border, where illegal crossings have in recent weeks fallen to record lows. That includes executive action to revive Title 42 authority to quickly expel asylum seekers at the U.S.-Mexico border. Title 42 is a emergency public health law that both the Trump and Biden administrations used during the COVID pandemic to justify turning back migrants and asylum seekers who cross the border illegally. Biden ended the policy in 2023. So as you can see, that's just a handful, a snippet of what Trump is going to get done today. It's going to be fascinating to see what all happens. And watch tonight, watch throughout the week, specifically on like CNN and MSNBC. I think it's going to be a little bit entertaining. But they're just going to be beside themselves. They're going to be trying to convince their viewership, as small as they are, how horrible these decisions for the Trump administration are to the American people. How horrible is it to minority groups? How horrible it will be to democracy. And I say, let them. The American people, and I was surprised, and I was pleasantly surprised. The American people, the majority of the American people, did not buy in, did not take the hook that the media have been trying to push on the American people about President Trump was going to destroy democracy. President Trump was going to take us back into the dark ages. How everything horrible, whatever you could imagine, bad, would happen if President Trump was allowed back in the office. Because what we're going to see in 4 years, how great things are, and it'll be a great reminder for the next election of why the Democrats' policies are not best for America and why they should not be back in the White House. We got to take a break. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show. Well, welcome back. You're listening to Nick Reed Show. I'm attorney Kyle Wyatt, filling in for Mr. Reed. We got Inauguration Day, and the crowds are lining up there in D.C., excited to see the 47th president get sworn in. And there's a lot on the plate for the president. If you have your wish list, your hope, feel free to call or text to our line at 447-5743. Love to hear what you are expecting, anticipating from our 47th president, what he could get accomplished today. I imagine it's going to be like receiving news from a fire hose today of how much is coming through. What we're still here waiting here, it's 7:26 in the morning. Joe Biden has roughly, 3.5 hours left to do more damage. And so, and don't think that they're not. They're working on something. I mean, we just reported earlier this morning how Joe Biden just went ahead and pardoned Anthony Fauci, Liz Cheney, General Willie. For crimes, apparently, they haven't committed. They're innocent people. Nothing wrong. They haven't done anything. I don't know why you guys are trying to pick on them. But they went ahead and pardoned them. And if they accept that pardon, it is an admission that they need it, that they have done something wrong. You can't have one without the other. You cannot accept a pardon. Let's put yourself into it. What if the White House contacted you today and said, you know what, we are going to issue you a pardon, but between the years of 2020 to present day. All right? We're going to issue just a blank pardon for any crimes you may or may not have committed during that time. Now, you got this call, right? Now, I guess that's great. Well, thanks for thinking of me. But if you haven't done anything wrong, why would you accept it? And wouldn't the calculation for Liz Cheney or Anthony Fauci that if they accept this pardon, and it has to be accepted, you don't just bestow it on somebody and it's forced on them. Generally, those who are pardoned are either serving time or have been previously convicted and would like to have this off their record. But if you haven't even been charged yet, and you're so concerned about your reputation, then why would you accept a pardon? If you truly haven't done anything wrong, especially illegal, you would know if you did. I always love this when people are on probation and they're concerned about violating the terms of probation. Generally, to violate the terms of your probation is if you commit new law, you commit new crimes, right? And I often tell people, it's not like you're walking down the sidewalk and you stepped on a piece of gum. Oh, I didn't see that coming. If you break the law, that generally is intentional. You don't accidentally break the law. You might have some traffic deal where you're speeding or paying attention. But for most crimes, it takes some sort of what they call mens rea, a mindset, to do a thing. And so these folks, these public servants, if they accept these pardons, it is an acknowledgement. Because you can't go, well, I'm just concerned that Trump's going to do what we did to him. Well, what did you do to him? What did you do to him? Because if he truly was a lawbreaker, if you were truly investigating wrongs and crimes, then you were in the right. I don't know. What say you? We got to take a break here. If you want to give us a call here in the studio or text 447-5743, we will put you on the air. Till then, it's about the hour. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show.
Springfield's Talk 104.1. Good Monday morning. This is Sarah Myers. Got a couple of housekeeping things before we get on with the show. First and foremost, many people, they oftentimes ask the KSGF team, especially when we're out at Scramblers, how they can sponsor a veteran during our monthly Heroes Veterans Breakfast. And now is your chance. So alongside our friends with the Warriors Journey and St. George's Donuts, we are going to be hosting a fundraiser event to raise funds for our Heroes Breakfast. Now, this event, it will take place on Wednesday, January 29th, 6 to 9 a.m. Nick and I will be doing the show at St. George's Donuts. And just swing on by, make a donation, buy breakfast for a local veteran. We've got more information about this event on our website at ksgf.com. We also have a chance for you to see Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations. You can catch that show live at Juanita K. Hammonds Hall for the Performing Arts from January 28th through January 30th. We've got your chance to win a pair of tickets to that show when you register to win at ksgf.com. You can also register to win on the KSGF mobile app. And finally, we do have our half-off deals with Local for Less Ozarks. This week, we have a half-priced $50 certificate to the Springfield's Little Theater's waitress for just $25. So we're sending you with half-off certificates to enjoy that hit Broadway musical going on January 31st through February 16th. You can find all the details and take advantage of that great deal when you visit ksgf.com. Click on the Locals for Less Ozarks page this Friday at 10 a.m. Your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see partly sunny skies with a high near 22. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 3. For your Tuesday, sunny with a high near 21. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 38.
Going to be warming up out there. Many of you are going to be tuning in, watching the inauguration coming up this morning. And most of us have high expectations. You know, driving in this morning, I was just reflecting on how this is one of these situations that one would dream up and say, well, wouldn't this make a good movie or book? But not have any real hope, expectation that it would actually occur. I know many of you shared my disappointment, my frustration last year in 2020 when they declared that Biden won the election. When you saw the shenanigans that were going on in Fulton County, Georgia, and all the other shenanigans that were going on, and we saw these cases in court, hoping against hope that the truth would be presented and it could stop this fraud. And then time after time just get knocked down. And then you watch President Trump leave D.C., and I remember they were playing Frank Sinatra's song, I Did It My Way. And on that date, January 20th, 2021, I was sad. I was really concerned for the future of our country. And I had hope, like, golly, wouldn't it be great? Would he just run? But you wouldn't, it'd be hard to be just, it's difficult to run, to go through all that again. Talk a little bit more of that. We have a caller on the line. And of course, you sent me the note. It goes right through the hole to the floor. Who do we got? Walter, good morning. How you doing?
Pretty good. You always want to remain optimistic, but you look at all the challenges ahead. I wouldn't want President Trump's new job for several reasons. Did you see that the Treasury Department announced that we will run out of money tomorrow?
Wow. No, I have not seen that yet.
Yeah, we've hit our debt ceiling. We've run out of money tomorrow. More than 50% of all government employees, federal employees surveyed, said they will not implement Donald Trump's orders. 50% of your employees. Would anyone want to take over a company like that?
Right.
because it's going to take somebody with a tremendous amount of intestinal fortitude. Because if I took over a company that was going broke and had to face all these problems, any of those employees that wouldn't follow simple instructions would save me some money, if you know what I'm saying, because they would not have a job, and I would revoke their retirement for disobedience.
Yeah.
The United States military, your defense organization, honestly, most people don't know this, it's in a shambles. Did you know that in order to defend Ukraine's borders, while we weren't defending our borders, we had to borrow 150,000 rounds of 155 millimeter artillery ammunition from the South Koreans? Did you know that our artillery rounds, or ammunition production for artillery, is 10 years behind schedule? 10 years behind schedule.
Amazing.
Just all of the problems were $120,000 per citizen in debt. $120,000 per citizen. A family of 5 owes $600,000 on the national debt. How did we get in this situation?
Well, we know exactly how we got in that situation. I appreciate the call, Walter. People put their heads in the sand. People were worried about the mean orange man. And people were scared. I mean, you remember, we're going through a pandemic that the news media and others had convinced you that it's the most horrible, horrible disease in the world, killing 1 out of 5 people. Put on your mask, stay at home. It did utter destruction to local businesses. It was horrible. I'm still waiting to find where those other 10 million votes went. You look at the vote totals that Biden got, supposedly, versus Kamala Harris. And isn't it amazing how all of a sudden we can't find that other 10 million votes? Where they just stayed home? Because Trump didn't make up that 10 million votes. He got more than he did last time, for sure. Going to what Walter stated, AP reported that in one of her last acts as Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen said her agency will start taking extraordinary measures or special accounting maneuvers intended to prevent the nation from hitting the debt ceiling on January 21 in a letter sent to congressional leaders Friday afternoon. She sent a letter in late December to lawmakers saying that the Treasury expected to hit the statutory debt ceiling between January 14th and the 23rd. And now the agency will stop paying into certain accounts, including the Civil Service Retirement and Disability Fund and the Postal Service Retiree Health Benefits Fund, to make up for the shortfall in money beginning Tuesday. The move comes during the switchover of administrations where President-elect Donald Trump takes over control of the White House and federal agencies from the President Joe Biden on Monday. Yellen will be out of office when the extraordinary measure takes effect. The department has in the past deployed what are known as extraordinary measures or accounting maneuvers to keep the government operating, but once those measures run out, the government risks defaulting on its debt unless lawmakers and the president agree to lift the limit on U.S. government's ability to borrow. So, thank you, Walter, for sharing that. Be interested to see how President Trump and the Republicans in Congress handles this situation. We'll be right back after this message. For those of you unable to follow, President Trump and First Lady Melania are now at at a church. Oh, what's the name of that church? They're at St. John's. They just entered together. Sarah noted during the break they were holding hands. They love each other. They're in love. You would hear now those who attack Melania and say she's not with the president. They're not in love. Yada yada yada. Was looking into what the difference of the speeches we're going to be hearing from 2017 to today. Donald Trump's January 2017 inauguration speech stands out as one of the most memorable and polarizing addresses in modern American history, according to The Independent. With a starky, dystopian tone, the 45th president painted a grim portrait of a nation in decay, instantly declaring the American carnage stops right here and stops right now. Trump's words back then painted a picture of a nation in crisis, one beset by poverty, crime, and decay. Well, yeah, true. Of its once proud industrial base. He spoke of mothers and children trapped in poverty in our inner cities, rusted out factories scattered like tombstones, and an education system flush with cash, but which leaves our young and beautiful students deprived of knowledge. His words conjured up visions of doe-eyed women and children trapped in a wasteland crying out for a savior. It was a wartime speech made in peacetime where the enemy is nebulous, but the supposed destruction is immense. The vision of a crumbling America resonated deeply with Trump's most embittered supporters, but it also drew criticism for its exaggerated portrayal of the nation's plight. The LA Times called it raw, angry, and aggrieved, with little to heal the nation's wounds. The Guardian called it sinister. I want to see what they're going to call today's speech. His depiction of American life as a battleground, one marked by the ravages of crime, drug addiction, and job loss, was a calculated political gambit, underscoring his message of radical change. But all these things were true, weren't they? And they're even more true today. We see the rising crime rates in our largest cities. New York, LA. We see people getting stabbed, people being caught on fire in New York subways. So crime, we have aplenty. Drug addiction? Fentanyl comes across our southern borders without any impediment. Job loss. It is fascinating how those on the left can say, oh, things are so much better now. Have you tried buying a carton of eggs? Look at Sarah, you don't have to do that, do you? You have your own chickens, don't you?
Nope, I'm a prepper.
Yeah, you are. You know, it's good to be a prepper.
I am a prepper. I'm dead serious.
I'm with you, girl. The cost of eggs. And it's only going up. The cost of everything. It is so difficult for just average families to survive. Their paychecks being stretched to their limits. But the left would say, no, things are great. We made other countries rich while the wealth, strength, and confidence of our country has disappeared, Trump continued. Working class voters who had been left behind by the economic shifts of globalization felt that they were finally being recognized after years of being told to celebrate the technological advances to shut down factories that took away their jobs. Conservatives, politicals imagined NATO and other international treaties that they believed had effectively chokehold the United States on the world stage. The older generation who remembered the near past in which America effectively ruled the world nodded along. The 45th president added, the wealth of our middle class has been ripped from their homes and then redistributed across the entire world. Well, the Ukraine's got a lot of it right now, don't they? Importantly, this wasn't just a selling message of anger at declining America. It was a selling the politics of envy. Someone else is now living our dream. And it was in its heart a hyper-capitalist message implying, as it did, that America should have stayed on top and everyone should have stayed at the bottom. Other politics. Well, why do you care if other countries are beneath us? Continue that thought after the break. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show. Covering the question, will Trump's 2025 inauguration speech be very different from his 2017? You see from the left how they despise American brilliance. They despise American greatness. You know, just the terminology of "Make America Great Again," MAGA, connotes hatred from the left. But you ask the simplistic question of, what's wrong with making America great? Now, we could argue if "again" should be at the end of the sentence, "Make America Great Again." Suggests America's not great. I think in many ways you can argue that America's not great. I look at the education, the testing of our students, and the proficiency of math and science compared to that to the world. We are not the leaders. Yet we spend the most per student. What do we get for that investment? And why is anybody asking the question, what are we doing wrong? If you're spending this type of money, this amount of cash on the education of our youth, why are we getting more from our investment? And so, at one point, can we all agree that America was at the top? Can we all agree that there was a time when America was the most educated? That we were at the top of all industries and innovations, manufacturing. Made in America meant something. And so those on the left would argue, well, we're too much at the top. You know, Barack Obama, that was basically his campaign promise and his pledge, which he succeeded in so many different parts. That America should not lead from the front, but we should lead from behind. And so we should be the envy of the world. The world should try to catch up to us. We shouldn't just try to take less so we can become weaker. That's what the Paris Climate Accord is. There's the whole point of it. Let's penalize America in its ability to manufacture energy, but meanwhile ignore countries such as India and China and Russia. I say, no, you all continue doing whatever you're doing. It's fine, but we are going to penalize the United States. It's asinine. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is going to be the second time Trump has had to get us out of this stupid accord. They go on at this point, Trump was still heavily selling his drain the swamp, anti-establishment message, which is even more important today. And I think what differentiates us today, Trump today versus 2017, he spent 4 years. He has learned from the mistakes he made. And he made mistakes. He made mistakes of trust, of the people he surrounded himself with. He knows far more now the type of establishment people that he had then and how to avoid them. The people who have their power, the last thing they want to do is lose their power. And so that's why President Trump is bringing in so many people from the outside. Like Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's going to clean up the Department of Justice. Kash Patel, who's going to clean up the Federal Bureau of Investigations. We have so many. RFK Jr., Bobby Kennedy, who's going to make our children healthy again. We talked about last Saturday how the start of it has already begun. You read the reports that the FDA recently banned red dye number 3 from our foods. How many years did it take? You know, it is the projection of strength is what makes change happen. President Trump warned Hamas that if they didn't release the hostages before he took office, bad things were going to come their way. We have a poster back here of President Reagan. It reminds me of his warning to Iran, who were holding U.S. hostages. But Jimmy Carter was unable, incompetent, to get out. But the presence of power and strength is what moves our enemies. Biden and the Democrats projected weakness, feebleness. There was no concern from our enemies when Biden was in the White House. And could you imagine what even less concern they would have if Kamala was in there? The cackling hack. We got to take a break here. You are listening to the Nick Reed Show. Good morning. Welcome. You're listening to The Nick Reed Show. I'm attorney Kyle Wyatt of Wyatt Law and Associates and Freedom Traffic Law. Filling in for Nick Reed. We got for you on our last hour more of the upcoming inauguration speech, what we expect to hear from President Trump. Nancy Pelosi's daughter comes up with a new nickname for Jill Biden. College education groups offer advice for Inauguration Day anxiety trips to D.C. And lawmakers push to rename Nashville International Airport after Donald Trump. Before we get to those and your calls, we got some news.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see partly sunny skies with a high near 22. Tonight mostly cloudy with a low around 3. For your Tuesday, sunny with a high near 21. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies with a high near 38.
Thank you, Sarah. We have an important speech going to be coming up from our soon-to-be 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And we were covering a little bit of the last hour of his 2017 speech. And there are clues about this in the recent release official inauguration schedule that's going to differentiate it between the 2017. First of all, the theme of the 60th presidential inauguration, agreed upon by the bipartisan but still Trump-supporting Republican-leaning inauguration committee, is Our Enduring Democracy, a Constitutional Promise. That's the title of today's speech. That in itself is miles away from the Trump's 2024 rally speech about changing the Constitution by modifying the 25th Amendment, about pardoning the January 6th rioters. Indeed, soon-to-be Vice President J.D. Vance stated on Fox News that he does not believe those protesters who were violent on January 6th should be pardoned. C-SPAN or CPAC may have featured a mock jail cell with a crying January 6th protester inside, awaiting his release under a second Trump term. But it seems not everyone will be immediately embraced under a Trump-Vance ticket. Well, of course. But there's 1,500 other people who are just marching around the Capitol who Merrick Garland and Joe Biden had declared is a horrible individuals, and should be thrown in jail, grandmothers and grandfathers. We'll get back to that after this call. We got Rex on line 1. How you doing? Good morning.
Hi there, sir.
Good morning.
Hey, I follow many pastors, preachers, and a couple of them that I follow are at the inauguration for Donald Trump.
Good.
And a couple of them that I follow, they've prayed with Donald Trump. And I believe that this term is going to be totally different than his last 4 years. And I believe that if he had not sat out the last 4 years, I don't think God would have given him the mission the same way that he has now. And I'm 57, soon to be 58 years old. And I don't think that I've ever seen a person affect our country as positively and as greatly as what it seems that Donald Trump has this term. People like Joe Rogan, who would be considered an atheist. I don't believe he's a Christian now, but I believe he sees the movement of God and that the fact that there's something there and something to be searched out. And I believe that there's going to be almost a revival in America as a result of what Donald Trump has went through and how he has reached out to faith leaders and said that if it wasn't for God, he wouldn't be here. And I truly believe that he's correct. but I believe that the world as a whole is seeing this, and you can't help but say there's something there. And I'm very optimistic about these 4 years and the growth of America and the positive that I think that we're going in the direction that we haven't been for 40 years probably.
Right. All right, Rex, well, I appreciate that. And when he got shot there in Butler, Pennsylvania, and survived, I mean, I think most people remember where they were when they got that call or heard that news. I was with a family in Silver City, and my mom contacted me and said that the president got shot. And of course, you're thinking the worst. A lot of emotions, anger for one, because we knew that some idiot Democrat was going to take a shot at him. And and this what's, we talked earlier that President Trump plans on releasing information about the JFK and the Bobby Kennedy and the Martin Luther King assassinations. How about we find out about the guy who shot Trump, who tried to kill him, who shot him in the head? We still know very little. We keep hearing about how there was money that was sent into offshore accounts for this 20-some-odd-year-old kid. I mean, how many 20-some-odd-year-old kids do you know have offshore bank accounts? And why did the FBI and the Secret Service start spraying down the roof where the killer or the attempted killer was shot and found dead? Why did they rush to do that? And then they cremate his body within a few days? I mean, there seemed like there was just an innate amount of rush for the investigation. We still don't know anything about the guy, or very little. So how about we release that information? But I had indicated, and I stated, and I believe that shot was a miracle shot to only nip a piece of the president's ear. That had he not turned his head at that precise moment, we'd be having a different conversation today, wouldn't we? And I believe then, as I believe now, that God did not spare President Trump's life that day in Butler, Pennsylvania, just for him to lose the election. That's why I was confident as ever that he was going to win. And furthermore, God didn't spare Trump's life for him not to be able to accomplish many of the things that he has planned for the United States. And I think they're going to be really remarkable stuff for our country. And we're going to look back on this with great love. Guys, we got to take our next break here. You're listening to The Nick Reed Show. All right, we'll go back. You're listening to the Nick Reed Show. I'm attorney Kyle Wyatt, filling in for Mr. Reed. We got Devin on the line. Devin, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kyle. How are you?
Good. What do you got for us?
Oh, I just can tell you're doing a great job, and I
Aw.
appreciate you giving Nick the day off.
It's my pleasure always. What's your hopes for this morning?
I don't know. I'm kind of anxious to see how many illegals we get sent off today.
Yeah. Hopefully, they're talking about raids coming as soon as tomorrow. So, if I was illegal, I'd be worried. Well, I don't know about you, but hey, man, I appreciate the call. Teased you at the beginning. Nancy Pelosi's daughter comes up with a new nickname for Joe Biden. I saw this this morning on Instagram. I was reading through it, and I'm like, that's a interesting story. So, this from Town Hall. Nancy Pelosi has been recovering from a nasty fall while on a congressional trip to Luxembourg. I think she was drunk, wasn't she? Probably. She broke her hip during the incident. A fixture of Congress for 100 years. No, I'm sorry. And one of the many faces of the Democratic Party, Pelosi has been showered with usual flowers and well wishes from friends and colleagues. Yet two people have been conspicuously absent in these overtures of recovery and good health: Joe and Jill Biden. Political had a brutal piece about the Biden and Pelosi families being at war. It's personal, and it's been this way for months. Joe Biden and Nancy's friendship has disintegrated. It's shocking to those in their respective inner circles, since there was a time when Biden referred to Miss Pelosi as his Catholic sister. Pelosi has tried to reach out to the president for quite some time, only to be rebuffed. Joe Biden's interview with the Washington Post did delve into this matter, where the first family places much blame on Pelosi for forcing Biden off the 2024 ticket. Then again, Pelosi's daughter, documentarian Alexandra, coined a new moniker for Jill, and it's pretty appropriate. Whipping out the knives for her mother, Alexandra said, "Lady McBiden should grow up, put on some big girl pants, and tend to the legacy left behind her husband. Oh my, that fall in Europe also exposed the depth of this friendship, which has reportedly fallen. The former House Speaker was worried that she might not be able to secure transport back to the States due to Biden's anger over the 2024 race." So this was the post I saw this morning. "If I was Lady McBiden, I'd put on my big girl pants and play the long game and think about my husband's legacy." I was like, I saw Alexandra Pelosi, and luckily Sarah printed this out for me. She goes on and said, "There aren't that many people left in America who have something nice to say about Joe Biden, and Nancy Pelosi is one of them." The younger Pelosi made clear she was speaking only for herself. Pelosi has tried multiple times, I'm told, to have a conversation with Biden, but she and intermediaries who've also attempted a rapprochement have repeatedly been met with the same response from the president's top advisor. The answer is no. She's been told that they're not over it. Don't make more overtures because he's blaming her, said a person who has spoken to Pelosi about the conversations between the former speaker and Biden's aides. Pelosi told People last week she's struck that the Bidens would leave on such a low note, asking rhetorically why they'd conveyed such bitterness. A Biden spokesperson declined to speak on the record, but did not deny the silence. Biden did briefly chat with Pelosi, her husband Paul, and daughter Christine at a White House holiday party last month, but that encounter only served to remind them of the rupture. We got to take a quick break here. You are listening to The Nick Reed Show. You know, you keep thinking back. You're sitting here, you're beyond happy. This is the day that many have hoped, thought they maybe only a dream, wishful thinking. You got to go back 2 years ago, March 2023. Alvin Bragg was the first Democrat to utilize lawfare against the president by filing an indictment charging him in a New York State court. Then after that, we had indictments from Fani Willis in Georgia. Then we had special prosecutor that Attorney General Merrick Garland unleashed against President Trump, Jack Smith. They filed additional criminal charges in D.C. and in Florida. And so you had all of this. This is back in 23, right? Suggestion is obviously clear that President Trump had intentions of trying again, of running one more time. In response to that, the Democrats decided to falsely charge him with crimes. So we had hush money payments in New York State Court. Then we had the classified documents, U.S. District Court in Fort Pierce, Florida. Trump is accused of taking classified materials from the White House when he left office. You remember the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Election interference, U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. Trump is accused of seeking to overturn the 2020 presidential election. The alleged conspiracy involved using slates of fraudulent electors in 7 states. Election interference, Georgia State Court. Trump is charged with racketeering and accused of leading a criminal organization to subvert the 2020 election in Georgia. And so you had this unleashing of Democrats, prosecutors, going after President Trump. And you had to sit there and wonder, what else could the Democrats get away with? And then we had a documentary entered in with 2022 disclosing the fraudulent uses of the election drop boxes. And again, the media, unconcerned. No big deal. When you had videos of people stuffing these election boxes in the middle of the night. You had actual video of them doing it. And nobody cared. You watch these confirmation hearings last week, and they'll resume this week. And many of those confirmation questions from Democrats in the Senate wanting to get the appointees' opinion on whether or not President Trump lost the 2020 election. All they care about is trying to criminalize, mock anyone who would suggest that the 2020 election was screwed with. I like what Joe Rogan suggested during the topic of the 2020 election. And he asked a simple question. To those who mock the claim about the 2020 election having fraud, you mean maybe being stolen, screwed with for sure. He asked a simple question of, are you telling me that there was 0% fraud? That there was 0% screwing around with the votes? That's a good question to ask. Because clearly the answer is not no. No, of course there wasn't any screwing around. Of course there wasn't any of this. There's too much evidence to support. And so despite all of that, the criminal charges, the millions that he had to spend defending his name, being shot at, the ongoing attack from the left, the media. Despite all of that, here we are, January 20th, and we are just now 2.5 hours away from President Trump being sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. This is a great day. We got 30 minutes left of the show. We'll take on 2 more topics and your calls here at 447-5743.
Springfield, it's my turn. It's my turn to talk over here, Kyle. Springfield Stock 1041, your first alert forecast from Cullerton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see partly sunny skies with a high near 22. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 3. On Tuesday, sunny with a high near 21. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 38. Okay, you can go now.
You know, everybody is happy about today. Not everybody is as joyful as you and I. Educational institutions and college-affiliated groups are preparing for President-elect Trump's inauguration by offering mental health advice, delivering travel notices to international students, and organizing anti-Israeli rallies. Nothing says college by being anti-Jew. Most schools will be closed on Inauguration Day due to falling on a federal holiday. Similar to Trump's first inauguration, in the weeks following his victory in the 2024 election, universities and education groups are offering different outlets for students on Monday. Several anti-Israeli college groups in Chicago are planning demonstrations. University of Illinois, Chicago, Students for Justice in Palestine and Students for a Democratic Society chapters attend to hold anti-Israeli protests, also known as anti-Semitic, according to social media posts. The groups will reportedly meet to fight back against Trump's racist and reactionary programs. Other schools are offering mental health advice ahead of the Republican swearing-in. Emory University's Rollins School of Public Health conducted an interview with clinical psychologist Rachel Wofford, published in December, about how to deal with anxiety during presidential transitions. Americans are experiencing a mix of emotions as Trump prepares to start his second term as president of the United States. For some, a second Trump administration is stirring up fear and anxiety. Woofer suggests those who have anxiety should stay off social media or unsubscribe from news outlets. I would encourage anybody who is in that state right now to think about the ways that you can plug into your life tangibly. Plug into your community, social supports, and the things that bring a sense of security, safety, and control, the psychologist said. The Close Up Foundation, a nonprofit civic education organization, offered middle school students the opportunity to take a 7-day trip to Washington, D.C. for the inaugural celebration in an effort to help young people see how our national ideals impact us today. Meanwhile, in recent weeks, international students have been urged by their universities to return to the U.S. before the inauguration, claiming that Trump's plans to crack down on illegal immigration could impact them. Well, how would that be if they're not illegal? Several of the schools giving such notices include Cornell University, the University of Southern California, Harvard, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and Penn State. A travel ban is likely to go into effect soon after inauguration, said Cornell's University Office of Global Learning in a message to students. The ban is likely to include citizens of countries targeted in the first Trump administration. A statement from USC said that this is especially important given that a new presidential administration will take office on January. The Los Angeles Unified School District has also directed teachers to evade immigration and customs enforcement if they show up to schools. We will not allow any law enforcement entity to take any type of immigration action against our students or their families within our care, Superintendent Alberto said during a press conference in January. After Trump won the presidential election in November, Georgetown University's McCourt School of Public Policy offered a self-care suite at school, while Northwestern University offered a post-election wellness space to provide puzzles, snacks, and brain break activities for students. You remember, what was it they had here at the Missouri State University? Wear safety pins on their shirts, right, to signify that they were a safe place, a safe space for students to come talk to, in their time of crises. I don't know how the United States would have ever become the power it was or is if we had that type of mentality back then. Could you imagine what type of victory we could possibly have in the 40s, storming the beaches of Normandy, if we had little snowflakes like that on the front lines who are so easily tortured with anxiety over prosperity and democracy. And it's especially interesting, all these anti-Israeli groups that are popping up in universities. I would never have thought that being anti-Semitic was chic, but it seems like that's what it is now, right? It is cool to be anti-Jew, to applaud Hamas and their raping and beheading of small children. It just fascinates me that there is just this much type of hatred. But if that's going on here, which we know it is clearly, then I guess that explains a lot of what it was like in the late 30s, early 40s in Germany, how you would have neighbors who would just look the other way and allow maybe even their friends, colleagues, get shipped off in trains off to concentration camps. And they just go about their day. It is truly sad state of affairs that we have. I was looking back again, and again, this day, this January 20th, this opportunity for America. Man, there was just so much doubt leading up to it that this would ever even happen. And I look back at a timeline of events just this year, this year, 2020, or I guess it'd be last year, 2024. May 30th, President Trump was convicted in a New York court by a jury of Manhattan individuals who convicted him without a crime. They couldn't come up with a single crime that they agreed on. Then June 27th, President Trump had a debate with Joe Biden. And the world got to see what we have been hollering about, that Joe Biden is clearly incompetent. July 13th, in Butler, Pennsylvania, Trump nearly escapes death. Trump's mugshot was already perhaps the most iconic photo in presidential campaign history, but the former president soon delivered an even more stirring image after an assailant's bullet came within a fraction of an inch from ending his life on a rally stage. As the Secret Service shielded Trump, he emerged from the pile with a blood-streaked face and raised fist, repeating, "Fight, fight, fight." We'll continue that after break. I'm Kyle Wyatt, filling in for Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, Sarah Myers here, and winter, it can be brutal on your roof with the fluctuating temperatures that can lead to your shingles shifting, it can lead to nail pops, and then it can lead to leaking and deck repairs. If you have an older roof, or maybe a roof that was probably not installed correctly, I want to recommend my friends over at the Pyramid Roofing Company. Now, the Pyramid team, they offer free roof inspections, so you're not out anything whenever Josh and his team come out, and they do a very thorough roof inspection at that. They check everything from your vents to your gutters. They even get inside your attic and do a attic inspection and check your decking as well. And then they come up with the best solution for you and your home. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean a whole new roof, but maybe just a simple roof repair. So if it is time to have the Pyramid Roofing Company team out at your home, go ahead and give Josh and his team a call today. You can find all of the contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at KSGF.com.
For those of you who need an update, President Trump and his wife are en route to the White House to have a little sit down with the Bidens. I assume there's going to be quite a bit of frustration on the part of Trump of all the BS Biden has been trying to get accomplished. Has there been any new reports of Biden doing in the last, what has he got now left? Less than a little over 2 hours? Or no, not 2 hours, less than 2 hours. Who knows? Carrying on with what's led up to this monumental day. It's often said that vice presidential picks don't matter much, but J.D. Vance has proven himself an exception to that rule. On July 15th, Trump made a bold choice in Vance, a former top critic and first-term senator with a relative sparse political track record, but that bet paid off big with Vance becoming an invaluable asset to Trump on the home stretch. Vance quickly became the corporate media's worst nightmare, sparring with liberal pundits and dismantling the latest media hoaxes live on air. As much as they tried, the legacy press simply couldn't get Vance off message. And he used his time on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and other liberal networks to tell the American people what those networks weren't, about the real crisis at the border, how bad inflation actually is, and so on. How many of those viewers were persuaded to pull the lever for Trump after hearing the truth will never be known, but it seems safe to say it wasn't an insignificant number. Vance's vice presidential debate with Tim Walz was another masterclass in political messaging, with the Ohio senator using the opportunity to focus attention where it belonged, squarely on the failures of the Biden-Harris administration. Trump has repeatedly spoken about doing a better job of staffing the government this time around with competent, loyal individuals committed to the America First movement. He got off to an excellent start by choosing J.D. Vance to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. On July 19th, just days after the Pennsylvania rally shooting, Trump appeared on stage at the RNC convention in Milwaukee to accept the Republican nomination for president. Ear bandage and all, Trump delivered a rousing 90-minute speech that set the stage for the final 4 months of the campaign. Together, we will launch a new era of safety, prosperity, and freedom for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed, Trump said. The discord and division in our society must be healed. We must heal it quickly. As Americans, we are bound together by a single fate and a shared destiny. We rise together or we fall apart. After the shooting and the outpouring of sympathy that followed, Trump's hopeful, unifying speech shattered the caricature the Democrats had worked so hard to build of a selfish, bitter former president bent on political revenge. What Americans saw of Trump in Milwaukee was a man who had given up a life of luxury and celebrity to endure grueling months on the campaign trail and literally put his life on the line to defend the interests of everyday Americans. It was Trump at his finest and perhaps the biggest moment of his political career. On July 21, Democrats dropped Biden. Biden's sudden exit from the race on July 21 was one of the most earth-shattering events in presidential campaign history, leaving Democrats without a nominee with just over 3 months to go until Election Day. The Democrat establishment decision to install Harris without any sort of primary process, in effect disenfranchising 14 million Democrat primary voters who cast ballots for Biden. But I thought elections matter. I thought every vote should count. It's weird how that doesn't work if it's the Democrats. Looking in hindsight to be a strategic mistake of epic proportions, Democrat turnout was far below 2020 and just barely above 2016, indicating a fatal lack of enthusiasm among the Democrat base. Biden being forced out of the race confirmed what Republicans had been saying all along, that the president was mentally and physically unfit for office, and Democrats had been lying about it for years. That level of deception evidently did not sit right with even many Democrats. As it turns out, Americans don't take kindly to political elites rigging the game to install their favored candidate without consulting the voters at all. September 10th, the one and only debate between Harris and Trump wasn't the knockout blow for Harris that it proved to be for Biden. With a big assist from the moderators, because it was, 3 against 1, and corporate media spin cycle, Harris managed to keep her head above water. But as reported at the time, Harris likely came off as preachy and condescending to everyday Americans, while her exaggerated facial expressions and canned talking points smacked of inauthenticity, a problem that would continue to plague her candidacy. October 17th, Harris and her running mate skipped the Al Smith dinner and anti-Catholic bigotry. Harris' decision to skip the annual Al Smith charity dinner, which every presidential candidate had attended since 1984, became the trigger for a cascade of negative headlines exposing Harris' record of anti-Catholic bigotry and even talk of campaign shakeup. The snub was highlighted in a series of 2-minute ads in battleground states, tying her to record of an incumbent Senate Democrats and helping thrust the issue into the mainstream. According to the Washington Post exit poll data, Trump won the national Catholic vote 56 to 41%, a 10-point improvement over his 2020 performance. Those votes likely proved crucial in what ultimately became the tipping point state in Pennsylvania with its heavily Catholic population. October 7th, Harris media tour fiasco. After studiously hiding the vice president from the media for most of her campaign, the vice president suddenly burst onto TV screens in early October for a flurry of interviews with friendly networks. To put it mildly, the media tour was an unmitigated disaster. Harris confirmed what Republicans have been saying about her all along. Her campaign lacks any substance, while she personally lacks any charisma or understanding of policy. Harris repeatedly said that she would not have done anything different from Biden, divulged some truly epic word salads, and failed to offer any explanation for how she proposed to pay for her $1.7 trillion economic package. Those interviews were the start of a steady polling slide for Harris. The more the voters saw her, the less they liked her. October 20th to October 30th, Trump's McDonald and garbage truck moment. Trump's political career has been nothing if not entertaining, and he delivered two more viral laugh-out-loud moments in the final days of the race. And that really showed his connection to people. And it made him personal to everybody. The guy is a genius. We got one last break, guys. We'll be right back.
Give you one message to hold in your hearts today. It's this: never, ever give up.
FBI raid at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. Deadly force being authorized.
Nothing worth doing ever, ever, ever came easy.
Donald J. Trump has been indicted.
Jack Smith has again indicted former President Trump.
Over the course of your life, you will find that things are not always fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve. Said, take a look at what happened. But you have to put your head down and fight, fight, fight. Never, ever, ever give up. The more people tell you it's not possible, that it can't be done, the more you should be absolutely determined to prove them wrong.
CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president.
Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world. 250 million Americans are not garbage. And it'll make a real and lasting difference. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. You must keep pushing forward.
They just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America.
So just remember that. Never stop fighting for what you believe in and for the people who care about you. America is beginning a new chapter. Our best days are yet to come. I can promise you that.
Powerful video. You can find it on Truth Social. President Trump posted just an hour ago, and covers a lot of the images we talked about this morning. There's so many great events, great moments in that campaign. When I was watching the video, they had him in his what do you call those little reflective vests when he's driving the trash truck, and he came on stage there, and I think it was in Milwaukee. And he was telling a story about why he didn't want to wear it, and the people said it made him look thinner, so he decided to wear it. It was just so many things, and I'm looking at the videos of when he's discussing things going against him, and they showed Alvin Bragg, and then he showed Judge Mechin, who was just smiling at the cameras, just over and over, just the attacks that this man had, and to be able to survive. President Trump has just now arrived at the White House and is being greeted at the steps there by Joe and Jill Biden. It's a good moment, and Melania looks magnificent as always. It's just guys, I know you're all feeling the same thing. You know, this is the day we hoped and prayed that would happen, and was unsure if it ever would. One final good story for you as we leave this morning. Lawmakers push bill to rename Nashville International Airport after Donald Trump. Travelers in the Music City may soon be greeted by Trump International Airport. On Friday, Tennessee Republican State Representative Todd Warner filed House Bill 217. Which would rename Nashville International Airport to honor Trump. The bill would require the Metropolitan Airport Authority to take action to execute the name change. Those actions would include setting up a new signage, chaining registered trademarks with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, revising all existing contracts and legal documents to reflect the new name, and updating references with local, state, and federal agencies. During the transition period, the bill states that the airport may operate business using the current name with the designation of doing business as Trump International Airport, or DBA. If passed, the bill would take effect on January 1, 2026. This is not the first time a lawmaker has pushed to rename an airport after Trump. Back in April 2024, a group of House Republicans also pushed to rename Washington Dulles International Airport in Virginia after Trump. Representative Guy, I don't know whether it's Retzgenholler, representative of Pennsylvania, the House GOP's chief deputy whip, introduced the bill among 6 co-sponsors. In my lifetime, our nation has never been greater than under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump. As millions of domestic and international travelers fly through the airport, there's no better symbol of freedom, prosperity, strength than hearing "Welcome to Trump International Airport" as he land on American soil. If passed, it would be the second D.C. airport named after a Republican commander-in-chief. Ronald Reagan was the other one. Washington National Airport, Arlington, Virginia. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens very soon. Oh, guys. Well, I hope you all stay tuned. Keep your eyes on the news. Watch this great moment unfold in front of us. And, guys, hope you have a fantastic week. Till next time.